Good Friday morning of the 22nd week. I want to, I'm going to go back a little bit to yesterday, okay? But let me just read the text today from Corinthians. It said, "Thus should brothers and sisters, thus should one regard us as servants of Christ and stewards of the mysteries of God. Now it is, of course, required of stewards that they be found trustworthy. It does not concern me in the least that I be judged by you or any other human being, a human tribunal. I do not even pass judgment on myself. I'm not conscious of anything against me, but I don't thereby stand acquitted. The one who judges me is the Lord. Therefore, do not make any judgment before the appointed time and until the Lord comes, for he will bring to light what is hidden in darkness and will manifest the motives of our hearts, that everyone will receive praise from God." God will praise us, you see. But there is the truth of the fact there are at times, in our times, even within our lives, a recognition of the holiness of the servant of God, the saints. But in our time, there was one very, very special person that impacted the world around us, and that was Teresa of Calcutta, Sister Teresa, Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Do you remember, I forget what year it was about 50 years ago, I guess, she was given the Nobel Prize for Peace. And what did she do? She nurtured and took care of and impoverished herself in serving the poorest peoples of India, Calcutta. Arguably, I believe, some of the poorest parts of the world, lepers and all the rest. She was the gospel in the flesh. I wish I'd read it. I remember her vividly, but I mean, remember when holy cow, do you remember when she came to the United Nations? She walked in her simple habit. The place goes wild. It goes wild. And sometimes we don't have to wait for God to bring praise to us. Sometimes the world simply recognizes goodness. It recognizes, in a sense, a very sacred human being. And they certainly did it. Teresa of Calcutta, Sister Teresa, Mother Teresa, Saint Teresa of Calcutta. She modeled the gospel. She was a model of Christian humanism, Christian humanity. And it was compelling. The whole world represented in the United Nations. You remember that? Those of you who are my age can remember they stood up and applauded her as she walked in. And she's so humble. At the same time, she wasn't afraid to get off your tails and get this thing done. She yelled at them, "Come on, get it done. Get it done. Take care of these people. What's the matter with you?" See? What a tough cookie. Was she ever a tough cookie? But she put her money where her mouth was. She lived it. And hence when she spoke it with power. That's the beauty of the church, with her saints especially. And they're not their pieties, but they're an example of a Christian commitment to the people of God, to the people of the world. I think of that. When you really see the heroic, and she was that. She was a heroic Christian by being a very humble Christian in the service of humanity. A marvelous human being. In that sense, a privilege of our lifetime that some of us actually had some, we saw her on television or whatever it was, you see? And I think of some of the men in the outfit for me that I lived with, that in their own simple way, they lived a faith that was so deep and so honest. They modeled a belief to me in their perseverance, not in their preaching, but in how they lived. I lived with some marvelous human beings, some great human beings, not by the measurement of the world. They didn't impact like Teresa did. But those of us privileged to live with them, they impacted our lives by their simplicity and their beauty, by a raw holiness. I have to think of that. Sometimes all they did was worship within the order, meaning the chanting the divine office. When you look, what did you do that was so great? And I'd say in so many cases, they lived a passionate life. And in that, they impacted my life, you see. Because I saw in them, and often in their weaknesses too, in their frailties. Put it that way, I saw the suffering Christ. They weren't showing it off, they lived it. And I see it in the parishes. I've seen it. If you in a ministerial form of life, if that's your vocation of any way, where you serve a broad base of humanity, and here in the parish here, 5 generations now, going into my 5th generation of St. Tim's, St. Mark's, you see heroic faith. You see suffering, but you also see faith. And in many ways, far more moving than anything you ever saw in a book or read in a book. You see it in the flesh, and it's the truth. I think as much as I have hopefully served the parishes by my own calling, whatever, I've certainly received more than I ever gave, because I was welcomed into that community and I shared their suffering and their wisdom. They shared their wisdom with me through their suffering in so many ways. You want to see the life of the church? Get up close to it, and you see it in the flesh. There's a wisdom in that flesh. Yes, there is. I think I've learned more in the sense of what is the church from just being part of both the 2 sources, my religious life in the Passionist community and in the people of the parish of St. Tim's and St. Mark's, the same parish, okay? In a sense, the Union Road Catholic community in South St. Louis. Now 5 generations. It's the truth. It's the truth. I saw it on the ball fields. I saw it in the nursing homes. I saw the life of the faith. I saw it in the clergy. See? But most of all in the people. When Father Cronin said to me, go out and make friends with the people, that was the best advice I had ever gotten. This is exactly what I did. And I got to know them. And in getting to know them, I got to love them, and they loved me in their own way, each in their own way, and I got to both rejoice with them and suffer with them. Many of those people are dead now. My closest friends and companions are all dead. And every day I go to church, those pews there where they sat once are empty, but not my heart. We were here together. And as a church and as a parish, I expect we will see each other again in paradise, along with my Passionist family and my blood family, my friends, those with whom we have loved and been loved by in paradise. All the way from we had a bunch of us, holy moly, we used to go to his joint and go dancing on a Friday night. You should have seen, the Western Bowl. There was a band called Now and Then, and oh, Lord, we would go out there. We'd get there at 8 and come home at midnight, and we would dance the whole night, a whole bunch of us, maybe 6 couples plus myself. They were all a little bit older than me and a lot wiser. And we used to go ahead. What a memory. All but one person is dead now. All but one. That's something. They were 10, 15 years older than me, and it would make sense. They would die much sooner than me. But that was the life of the parish. It wasn't just going to church, and nor on the ball fields. It could be at a party. And we had some wild parties at St. Tim's Parish. Holy gosh, we had some great dances. Holy cow. Oh, there was so much fun. We had this picnic in the spring. Holy mackerels. It was so much fun. See, that's the life of the faith. That's the life of the church. See, it's in the flesh. Yeah. And someday we will have that all in glory. No more thunderstorms ending the party. Just a fun, just the beauty of life itself and love conjoined again now forevermore. Yeah.